Ah, squash. Now there's a good sport. Squash has never been more popular than it is in North America today. The reason people like squash so much is that when you're suffering a time famine, squash can burn off a huge number of calories in just one short hour. In fact, in an hour, you can burn off 1,000 calories playing squash. In the same length of time, most people are sitting down eating 1,000 calories. But squash is not without its risks. In a recent survey done, showing over 200 people who had died suddenly while playing sports, an alarming 45 of them came from the sport of squash. And these were not people who had never played before. These are people who were playing regularly. The reason that these people died playing squash has nothing to do with the game itself, but it's simply because of their incompetent management in reading their own tachometer. A race car driver knows all too well that you have to look at the tachometer to see if you're getting close to the red line. Otherwise, the engine could blow up. Exactly the same thing happens inside your own body. However, the red line in the body is read simply by taking your own pulse. I'll show you exactly how to do that because it could save your life. Here's how to read your own tachometer, which is your pulse. Start off by feeling the long bone that runs along the thumb side of the inside of the wrist. Use your middle finger to push deeply so that you will shut off all flow of blood through this artery. Then use your index finger right beside it to feel gently the bounding pulse beneath. Now it becomes quite easy to find that pulse at the wrist. Then you have to measure the time for a period of simply 6 seconds. Add a 0 and you will have your heart rate per minute. Don't bother keeping track for a whole minute because once your heart is racing in the middle of a game, you'll find that you'll lose track very quickly. In order to find out what the safe level is for you, it's very simple. See your doctor and he will calculate it for you based on your health and a few other parameters. But as a rough guide, take the number 220, subtract your age, and that will give you your maximum possible heart rate. And you don't want to go anywhere near that. You should try and aim for about 3/4 of that. So let's say for the sake of argument that you happen to be about 40, it'll all translate down to approximately 135 or 140 heartbeats per minute. That should be your maximum when you're playing a game of squash. Check your pulse, count for 6 seconds. That means that if the pulse exceeds 14 in 6 seconds, then you should slow down, in fact, ask for some time out. It doesn't just apply to the game of squash. It could be when you're shoveling a sidewalk or pushing a car out of a ditch. If you ask your heart to do 1 beat more than it can, you will have a heart attack, even if you're 14 years old.